I was born in Ukraine, in Lviv. I lived there till the age of 16, and then I went to study in Poland, but I went to boarding school. So basically the place where you live, sleep, eat, study. I spent 3 years there and then went to university. During my university studies in Wrocław, I was participating in Erasmus, traveling a bunch, and that's also how I ended up in Greece. To be honest, like if I think of my conscious memories, I think I surprisingly built them after I moved to Poland, but I was coming back from holidays, right, when I was in a boarding school. And it was the time of COVID. So I was in my late teen years, so I was about 17, 18 at that time. And I remember back then I started to be very much into art scene. There was always this hipsters movement and that kind of stuff. So, and I remember the first thing I have in my mind when I think of my hometown is when during COVID times it was legal to gather with many people, and with my friends who were also into the artsy things, we were organizing
literature
yes,
events.
To get together, read some poems, play some music with wine, candles and stuff. So yeah, I think that is a nice memory of mostly it is about people, right? Not the city itself, but the people.
Okay, so the first image is during COVID, the gatherings and everything.
Yeah, I think it was very romantic, and I tend to romanticize things. So yes, I think so. It's hard to say because the idea of moving there wasn't new to me. It was my idea, my initiative. My parents just did everything to support it. So I think when I moved there, the first thing that was surprising was how organized everything was. The pedestrian crossings and lights and everything actually works. And the second thing was that everyone was complimenting the way I speak Polish. I was learning Polish for a year before, but I learned it with native speakers, and I didn't realize that that I actually know it so well. So I think that was a striking thing for me, that wow, I'm actually managing. I'm 15 or 16, something like that, in a new country, and it's all good. And I remember my parents, just my mom, she just brought me there to this boarding school. It was the beginning of September, so everyone was moving in, and big rush or crowded. But I felt super independent. I was so happy that I'm here. It was my dream to be here, be in Europe. So I now sometimes when I talk to my friends or therapists, they be oh, that must be a traumatizing experience. I'm no, that was a very good experience. I felt very good in that. So. That's a good question, and I think I always have still this confusion and duality inside me, because moving there I had something that is called a card of Pole. So basically, if you are from Lithuania, Belarus, Ukraine, the countries that used to be part of
Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth.
Yes. Before the war, you can have Polish origins, right? And if you do, you get this a card of Pole. And I had this, so I kind of already identified with Polish people, and I didn't feel like this country is, that I'm a total stranger here. And later, like when I learned the language, like, and learned to speak like literally with no accent, when like native speakers, they don't understand that I'm not Polish. That would definitely help me to integrate. Later on, I also got a citizenship, so I kind of also like was always in a Polish environment. Like all my friends are Polish. I barely had any friends from Ukraine back then, and still, despite all of those like factors that were supposed to help me integrate in the new society, I still kind of had this thing that I felt like not as someone who belongs here 100%. And I don't think the war changed it much. Like the war wasn't, it didn't change anything. Like I love Poland. I feel like I adapted to this society. Learned many cultural, traditional, social norms. But like still in my head, I still have this duality, and especially that started to be visible when I moved here to Greece, where being Ukrainian is kind of like an exotic thing. Like people pay attention to me or approach me when I'm like on the street, or and I can go through like on the street talking in Ukrainian on my phone and feel okay with it, or like dress in some national clothes and also be fine with it. But in Poland, I remember like recently I was going back to Warsaw and I landed and someone called me and I had to answer in Ukrainian and I felt so uncomfortable. So I mean, partially it's also my personal thing, obviously, but I think there's always this confusion, like it's still, even though like I basically lived there for 8 years, still feel like I don't belong like 100%.
So there was always like an identity crisis situation.
Okay. Identity crisis is a good word, yes.
Okay.
I remember that it was in the air. People were talking about this. I remember someone at work asked me a few days before, like, hey, do you think it's actually going to happen? But till the last moment, I think most of us didn't believe that Russia could actually launch a full-scale invasion. So I remember I was planning to send some parcel to my mom. And in Poland, the easiest way to do that if you want to send something to Ukraine is just go to the bus station, find a bus that goes to Ukraine, pay a driver, and he'll just get it to Ukraine for you really quickly. And I remember I was supposed to go to the station in the morning. That was my plan, because I had something that I wanted to send to my mom. But at that time I lived in a dormitory and my roommate was also Ukrainian. And I remember, I had this shallow sleep around 4 or 5 a.m. and I heard that my roommate's phone started calling. And then my phone started vibrating as well. And I was like, hell, this is happening. But I didn't want to actually get my phone. It was that I got up suddenly and was like, yes, I need to check it. But I was like, no, okay. A few more minutes, I'm not ready to face it yet. And my first thought was well, looks like mom is going to pick up her parcel herself. And I got up, I didn't know what to do, because all of those voluntarily helping thing with the train stations where we helped people who were arriving from Ukraine, helping them to sort out the apartment stuff. That was later, a few days later, when Polish and Ukrainians in Poland figured out what to do. But my that morning I woke up and I was like I can't be sitting here, my roommate is anxious, I don't want to look at her and be anxious myself, I'll just go to the gym. And I went to the gym because, my parents, my mom, who lives still in Lviv, she was barely answering. News were horrible. Like, I remember news, there was so much disinformation. That was like, I just went to the gym, and it was also striking how, here I'm doing yoga, and like few hundred kilometers from here, like countries actually being attacked. I don't know if that was a healthy reaction to something like that, but it was, I just didn't know what else to do with. Like, I can't help, I can't. So yeah, it was very complex and very difficult, I think. And I remember that very clearly, very quickly, and the main priority was to just send children abroad, because I remember like there was a big, the biggest fear I think we even had was, I'm not sure how you call them in English, kaderovцы. It's from
like kaderovci, like from Chechnya.
Yes, that like those like military forces would be sent to Ukraine, and like I remember all mothers were just like trying to send their children abroad, because like knowing quite the horrible things that they did to people and children. So yeah, I think that was like we instantly started with my mother. Like I remember we like rented some like an Airbnb or something, and back then like no rules applied from the border. You could just literally take kids, and they didn't need permits and stuff. So I remember my mom, after a few days, she just came bringing like a bunch of kids from neighbors, relatives who couldn't leave for some reason. So yeah. I don't consider myself someone who was, in the center of all of this, because like I was abroad and I was safe. I had like a place to stay, but I can't imagine people who like woke up in Kyiv or Lviv or any other city, like to bombings. But when we were like warned that prepare your safety bags and so on, but no one actually believed till the last day that it's going to happen. So I remember that was the first thing that I heard, like, when you just enter university, there's like a welcome day. And one of the professors, who is now my Erasmus coordinator, my thesis coordinator, so like someone who I work with for like many years, he told us about Erasmus project, and that it's like a great opportunity to go study abroad. So like from the very first day in uni, I knew that that was something I was going to do. And then, when they started to recruit people for Erasmus, I just, applied. I don't remember what countries were on my list, but I think it was, Croatia I think was the top. Probably it was also Greece, like some other Balkan countries, because I remember back then I was looking for something that would be warm and also fairly cheap, so I definitely wasn't, aiming for like Amsterdam or Paris. And I think like Spain and Portugal were like very famous Erasmus destinations, but I was looking for something rather small, and eventually I ended up in Split in Croatia. It was, what year was it? 2022, 2023, I believe, like a winter semester. So like 3 years ago, right? It was like the best time of my life, honestly. That semester, like I look back to it and I'm like, I was ultimately so happy, the happiest I've been so far without even realizing it. Yeah, so I moved there by myself. I didn't have any friends who would go to Croatia with me. So I remember I took a Flixbus. I had a very long journey, came to my dorm, and I remember they shared with me like the name of my roommate who was already there. She arrived, but she was in the room, and she turned out to be Italian. Her name was Sofia, and yeah, she turned out to be my very good friend, and like now I think she's one of my closest friends, even though we don't stay in touch that much because of living in different countries. But I can definitely say that there was a friendship for life, and yeah, also like many other meaningful connections. And I think it was very useful for me and for my personal growth to be around people from all around Europe, because I think in my head I still lived with this idea that I had from my home country, that like by the age of 25 you have already be at least engaged. By the age of 28 it would be nice to already have a child or two. But there were people in like their even late 20s who were like still finishing their masters, who were still figuring it out, and it was super chill, it was super nice, everyone was just having fun, and I was like, wow, you can do that? Like honestly, that was a game changer for me. Yes, and it was great. I was studying, but it wasn't very demanding, like studies in Croatia. It was interesting, but not very demanding. So it was my first time going to the club there. My Italian roommate, she brought me to the club, and after that, most of our Erasmus, it was like clubbing, going to the beach, having coffee, going on trips. Like back then, we visited most of Balkans. I mean, not most of it, like Slovenia, Bosnia Herzegovina, Montenegro, places, for example, like Sarajevo, where I wouldn't normally go, that's my travel destination for today. But we were traveling, renting a few cars, then renting like a big house, going a bunch of us. So that was honestly so nice. And now, since then, I didn't go to Split a single time, even though I had a chance, because I'm so afraid to come there and replace the memories I have with new ones. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
I had the same fear, like when I went back to Germany.
Yeah. Basically,
because anyone that has been to Erasmus can relate to what you described.
Yes.
Yeah, best time of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I already been to Croatia, learned a little bit of Croatian. Also, Rijeka was very close to Italy, and my Italian roommate from my previous Erasmus was from Padua, so it was super close. So it was very intentional. Rijeka wasn't the best choice for Erasmus. Not many things were happening there, and it was a very different Erasmus experience. I had very great roommates, and it was more of a slow life, like going to the gym, having some matcha, going to the beach to just like rest, read a book. So definitely a very different experience than Split, but I'm happy I had both of them.
Okay.
So, yes, I think maintaining friendship in the era of globalization is very difficult, because we all are high mobility, we all move places, we meet people, then we have to say our goodbyes. Social media definitely helps, But I feel like Instagram stories, it kind of creates you the idea of that you are in touch because you know what's happening in the life of that person, but you don't really know how they feel, what they're going through. So I think it's important to like actually stay in touch, have like regular calls, catch-ups and stuff like that. If it comes to making new friends or relationships, well, I was never opposed to dating apps like Tinder or Bumble, and used it quite a lot, I think. And in my opinion, there is it's a very great way to get to know locals in the city. If you just come to solo traveling, you come to a new city by yourself, and you feel, for example, too shy to actually meet people in your hostel or just go to the bar and approach someone there. It's nice to, meet people this way. Also, some dating apps like Bumble, for example, they have like this BFF options that you can look not for romantic connections, but for friendships, which is also great. But it is very difficult, and like thanks to Ryanair and Wizz Air that they make seeing each other from time to time possible. So yeah, but at the same time, those friendships and relationships, they give you the idea that that the Europe is very small. Like this is also something I got out from my Erasmus, that I felt European, this very idea of like European identity, and I think Erasmus experience gives you that, because you realize how small Europe is in fact and how similar we all are.
I think that the EU needs to give you some extra funding for your next Erasmus.
Yes, for their promotion, yes, please.
Yeah. Also, Ryanair and Wizz Air, please,
they should.
I like this video.
No, I have my discounts with ESN card.
Yes, big promotion time. Promotion time.
So I think I was a little bit privileged in this sense because, as I said, I was never opposed to dating apps, and when still living in Wrocław, I met someone on the dating app. He was Greek, and we were maintaining long-distance relationship for a few years. And then I had a chance to go somewhere for my master's Erasmus. So it's kind of an obvious choice to go to Athens. Basically I came here for relationship, but also Erasmus was like a great, plan B in case something goes wrong. Yes, when I arrived, I didn't come here just for my studies. I came here a summer before, so to also spend summer in Greece. And I remember I was very shocked by the heat. The first week I arrived, I got myself a heat stroke because I'm just not used to the temperature like this. But yeah. Cultural shocks is that I don't think it's is very meaningful. But for example, I was surprised by how I'm still surprised by it every time I witness it. But how chill people are in the sense of, for example, when they're checking your tickets in a bus or metro. In Poland, they actually go and check your ticket. You can feel it. You feel every time I take a tram in Poland or a train, they come to check my tickets, even though I have all the valid tickets. I'm stressed because you never know. And in Greece, incidentally, they're checking your ticket at metro. They just stay like this with this controller thing. If you want to tap, you can tap. If don't, you can just go. And that was very, surprising to me that they don't care. They see you paid with the phone, they don't care about you at all. So I think that was very surprising that people are like so chill, like literally don't care. The other thing was that I noticed that people are, I judge it by my partner's family, that people who aren't normally religious are suddenly very like religious, respect tradition. For example, for Pascha, right? So it's like it's a big deal. So it's interesting how Greeks respect the role of the religion as this glue for the society. That was nice. And another thing I think was the like how how different Athens are. Like you can you get those rich neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods. You go to Ammonia and witness things you don't want to witness. So yeah, because in Poland you just get middle class neighborhoods. That's it. Like they all look the same. You don't feel those
disparities.
Yes, but in Greece you do.
Okay.
That was surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I think that inequality has risen after the crisis, like a lot, basically, compared to Poland, which is like constantly developing. And also about the religiosity thing is that Greek nationalism and national identity was similar to Polish one, like with Catholicism. Like basically, being Greek meant being Greek Orthodox, similar to being Polish meant Polish Catholic.
Yeah.
So that's why like there is this duality even though we are not that religious.
So I think I'll start from the easiest one. That's Croatia. I feel like Croatia doesn't have that many Ukrainian immigrants or refugees. And I feel like they don't really pay attention, because it's for Ukrainians it's quite easy to learn the language there, like it's also Slavic. The only thing I've heard was that like Croatia and Serbia have some something between them, like the Serbia was accepting those political refugees from Russia, Croatia was accepting Ukrainians, like Croatia was like more in favor of Ukrainians, kind of, but I don't know, I didn't feel any, different, special, or weird treatment because of my nationality. In Greece, as I said, I feel like sometimes I'm kind of like, I don't know if exotic is a good word, but like people are curious because it's something new for them. Especially like, because of my appearance, that I get approached quite often. But again, I feel like Greeks are very welcoming. Some, I think, if you're like not a student of some political sciences, people in general need some education about what's happening in Ukraine, about our history and why we are the way we are regarding Russians. So but in general, I feel like Greece is a very welcoming country. And Poland, well, it's very complex, but most people are very nice. They respect you. They have nothing against you. In my after living there for 8, almost 9 years, like the only bad experience I had was with some homeless guys or drunk people in a tram who like be accusing because they hear you speaking Ukrainian. That's it. Like never was I discriminated or anything because I'm Ukrainian. So I think there is a lot of myths about that, and also that obviously they've fed away Russian propaganda as well. But no, I think
only the lower strata, like the Confederacja people.
Yes, because they have nothing else to be proud of except the fact that they were born Polish.
Yeah.
But it's like this is a societal fact that people from
lower social
group, socioeconomic group, they tend to be more xenophobic, right? So.
Yeah.
So as I said, I definitely get rid of the idea that I need to get married and have kids by like certain age. Like I don't think I stopped perceiving like the family as the goal itself. But I still have those things like I get extremely happy if my partner eats what I cook. Like I love cooking and I love just seeing him eating it. So this is I think a very like Ukrainian thing. Yeah, I think also like there's a stereotype, but so I don't know if I should like mention it, but like I like, you know, being overdressed rather than underdressed, doing my makeup, hair, so I think that. I remember some time ago we also discussed like the dynamic in the relationship between men and women. But I think in that regard, I kind of also have a very, you know, Western views in a way that like 50-50 is fine, not
acceptable.
It's acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe somewhere still in the back of my mind, I have this idea of man being a provider, where like consciously I don't act on it, but I feel like somewhere down there I still have some expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's like something I'm working on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only the outer social fabric of yours was de-Slavicized. The inside remains Slavic.
Kind of. Yeah, but you know what? I feel like Ukrainians and Greeks have like it's a good compatibility. We have very similar like, values, views, approach to life, family. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Actually, I believe it's a good match.
First of all, I would love the society to be less divided because right now we have, you know, big division East and West, big division Russian speaking, Ukrainian speaking, and I would love us all to come to like some kind of agreement and just be united as a nation. And I think this is something I'm like really looking forward to. Of course, I also look forward to seeing Ukraine developing, rebuilding. I really would love to see some, you know, young, independent leaders who maybe were educated abroad. Because like right now, I feel like, you know, we have big nepotism in Ukraine, corruption, and it will not disappear unless you bring new people who will be a majority in that settlement. So yes, because like Ukrainians are great, you know, very hardworking, very smart. We just need a better management.
Yeah. It's what you said the other day, like about the saying with the hetmanate, like that where there are two Ukrainians, there are three hetmans.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Greeks are also very prone to civil war. Division runs in our societies. But yeah, let's hope that there will be better leadership.
Better leadership, and you know, for the nation, for people to have a common goal, common vision, and you know, in Ukraine we have this saying to pull a blanket on your side, so that everyone just stops pulling blanket on their side, and we will just see the Ukraine as unity, and will work for the good of this unity.
Okay, perfect.
I know what you mean, but the only thing that comes to my mind is that we are just like you. We are a part of Europe. We, you know, the fact that like institutionally we aren't there yet, we are on our way, but we are just like you.
Yeah, it's a really solid answer, I think, because for me also, you know, I was always with Ukraine from like day one because I understood that Ukrainians are just like us, you know.
Yeah.
Like if we don't support Ukraine, it's like ignoring someone of our own,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
Thank you.
yeah. Shall we say like Slava Ukraini?
Heroyam Slava.
Yeah. I knew you were hesitant to do it, but yeah. Yeah. So thanks again for today and all your answers. It was a pleasure, and
Likewise.
yeah. I mean, I think that this short documentary it's really meaningful for me, and I hope for you too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Bravo. Bravo to us.
Proud of us.